Italian protesters, and I'm not sure why we even refer to them as protesters, since for the most part they're just thugs. During one of their pro-Palestinian protests in Italy, they've decided, hey, why don't we raid an office of a newspaper? Might as well. This newspaper specifically, and I'm not sure if I saved the name. I didn't, so I'll look it up quickly and tell people. Um,
Torino.
but it, sorry,
I may have
La
got
Stampa. It's La Stampa.
it's in
Uh,
Torino, right?
in Torino. And yeah, so they've decided to invade. The offices completely trashed them. The picture of that is on a thumbnail, and we'll watch a video. And then we had a reaction from Francesca Albanese, our favorite special rapporteur for the occupied Palestinian territories, or whatever is the full title. We've talked about her before. So we'll go into Albanese specifically in a bit, but let's cover this protest specifically first. And I have a video from when they were still there. So let's quickly watch that.
Terrorista sei il primo della lista.
No. Mi si ferma il cuore.
Ragazzi, non ci sono i giornali.
So yeah, just like always, they are all masks. They, came into not invited. They sprayed slogans like "Free Palestine" all around. The reasoning, or at least what is being put forward as why they chose to go after this specifically, is that this newspaper, and I'm not sure if to what extent this is truly true or if this is what they're alleging, but they have basically called for a release of an imam who is being deported to Egypt from Italy, who reportedly had anti-Israel and anti-Semitic statements and was also praising October 7 massacre. The protester accused the newspaper of supporting the decision to arrest and expel him. Now, we're not gonna go into full story of this imam, whatever the position of the newspaper is, or whatever even the correct decision is. The fact is, this is a free newspaper, apparently very, at least established newspaper, not to mention that even if it was some fringe thing, it wouldn't make a difference. But again, big newspaper. Marco told me that apparently this was owned by used to be owned by the Fiat industrial family. So, you have your anti-capitalist elements if you want. But yeah, welcome to the Daily Objective. This was a long intro. I'm Daniel. Joining me today is James Valiant. And James, this is an attack on free press. I mean, what else do you call it? This is a bunch of rioters shutting down, going into a building because, they disagree with what they say. Or
There,
they should say something different, or
right.
whatever the justification is.
The word protest here is exactly what we need to focus on. This is not an example of free speech or an expression of their opinion. No, they're trying to intimidate someone from expressing their opinion. This newspaper, whatever this newspaper's position on the Imam or on Israel and Gaza is, whatever their position is, they are trying to intimidate people for what they are saying. This is a private business. They broke in, they trespassed, they interfered with the business, they caused all kinds of ruckus and disruption. So they were engaged in violating someone else's property rights. So I would urge people to consider the relationship between free speech, a free press, and private property. All those things have to go together as a unity, or you don't have any of them. And so what we have here is thugs attempting to intimidate people from exercising their free speech. This is not an exercise of free speech on their part. They could write an editorial, or say speeches, publish whatever pamphlets they want, hand them out on the streets of Turin, all they like, or Milan, or any place. I guess there were a bunch of cities in Italy that were praising Albanese. But let's get to Albanese, because she's really awful. But
Well,
these,
we'll go into it later. I want to just quickly finish on this protest. So,
yeah,
yeah, anything else about just the protesters specifically,
yeah,
and then we'll
no,
go.
these thugs are obviously, little mini dictators. They don't believe people have a right to free speech. They have a right to intimidate people from using their freedom of speech or freedom of the press. There could be nothing more illiberal, more authoritarian than their behavior. These are fascists in Italy. I'm going to say it again. Fascism is rearing its ugly head in Italy once more, and with an anti-Semitic twist. So, yeah.
Yeah, or what they actually are, communists. It's not like sort of oppression, or sort of shutting down of the press, or forming some militias, or trying to intimidate people is like unique to fascism. Communists, red shirts are very keen to do so as well.
That's right. Well, you can call it, yes. I love Italy. I was talking to you before how much I love Italy. I love the weather. I love the countryside. I love the wine. I love the art. I love the food. Um, However, I make a comment occasionally to my Italian friends. I say, why are they always communists or Catholics? And an Italian friend of mine corrected me and said, or both. No, Italy has never, ever really emerged from the nightmare of collectivism. So when we say communist versus fascist, there's very little to choose from here. They're street thugs. And that's how totalitarians operate. That's how authoritarians, enemies of freedom, operate. These people are advocates of dictatorship. The label we place on it, this sort of street thuggery, well known to Italians within the last century, is rearing its ugly head again, whatever label you want to put on it. They're collectivists, they're authoritarians, and they are thugs. And they join that, as I say, with the current anti-Semitism that is running rampant around this globe.
Now let's get into, as you said, Francesca Albanese. So when she heard about the situation, she is, of course, from Italy, or she's Italian. I'm not sure if she still lives there. What they said about her is, or what she said about this is, she apparently did condemn it, but this is how she finished that message. She condemned the violence, but this is how she actually finished the message. What happened is a message to journalists that they need to start doing their jobs. So violence is okay as long as somebody is not doing. I mean, this is like I guess Italy. This is like mafia style. You were not acting properly, and you need to learn. You need to learn what you should do. Some stuff might get broken if you don't do what we say you do. What we say you should do. Now, of course, her idea is, of course, the Palestinian coverage is wrong, despite the fact that the world is united against Israel. Everybody is united against Israel, but of course, what they mean is, as long as you believe in the existence of the state of Israel, as long as you're not advocating for the destruction of the Israeli state, or if you feel bad for the hostages, that's all bad. We'll also cover that a little bit later. So yeah, this is Francesca Albanese, a UN representative, saying, well, if you don't like what the press is doing, or it doesn't even have to be free press. I think it's a bit unique that this is specifically targeting free press. But if you don't like what somebody says, hey, punch him in the face. I mean,
that's right.
Get a gun.
People have not learned the difference between, there was an old saying, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never harm me. Certainly not physically. And people have not learned the very vital distinction between physical force and words. Words, no matter how much they offend you, Ms. Albanese, that's freedom. In fact, it's minorities' freedom of speech and freedom of press that is most important. The fact that she holds a position on the Human Rights Council of the United Nations tells you everything you need to know about the United Nations. I have frequently on this channel called them a dictatorship and terrorism protection racket. She makes that explicitly clear here. She is an advocate of authoritarian censorship. She is a thug saying, yeah, this is what you get when you don't report the way I want you to report. When you say something that displeases me, expect violence. And so we have among Western, academics, you'll hear the distinction, that's a microaggression, your words. No, my words aren't even a microaggression. They are not an aggression at all. Words are not aggression. Physical force is physical force. And if you don't like someone's opinion, you have every right to state your opinion. That's what freedom of speech and freedom of the press means. She wouldn't know freedom or rights, and she's on the Human Rights Council. And here you can see she's an explicit opponent of free speech and free press. Fundamental, traditional liberalism would say those are some of the most fundamental aspects of a liberal society. She opposes liberalism in its true sense. She is an advocate of dictatorial behavior, authoritarianism in government, and that makes her perfect as a representative for the United Nations. The United Nations is a huge sanction for dictators. Now, some of the members are less authoritarian than others, but she is a clear voice of authoritarianism, of the philosophy of dictators, the philosophy of force, which amounts to basically thuggery on a collectivist basis. And she is a perfect advocate of that. If she is the special rapporteur for Palestinian affairs at the United Nations Human Rights Council, that tells you everything you need to know about the United Nations and the international state of understanding what rights are, or misunderstanding, I should say, about what rights are. She wouldn't know what a human right was if it bit her in the tail.
Yeah, or I mean, depends how you define the concept of human rights, right? Because I always talk about individual rights because I know what it is. But when people use human rights, let's say you are an advocate of human rights and you are talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I don't know how you find yourself on the Palestinian side. I have no idea. Like, they don't want. Like, how do you support somebody that doesn't want to establish human rights, that doesn't care about freedom of the press, but that doesn't like Hamas executes random people, and Palestinians cheer for it. They cheered October 7th. They cheer murdering people if you just accuse them of something you don't like. So how do you find yourself on that side? And it's because, and here we see it clearly, like a free press in a free country is attacked by rioters. No justification for it at all. Offices are being raided. Who knows what would happen if, because I believe nobody was injured. I think the offices were empty or relatively empty, thankfully. So it was just it was just destroyed. But again, what would happen if somebody was actually there? And what would Francesca Albanese say then? You have to break a few eggs. If we have this idea of establishing a Palestinian state, if it takes to destroy a couple of free presses in the Western country, if it takes murdering a few Jews in Western countries, if it takes, shutting down Jewish events or any events for that matter, shutting down universities, well, that's what it takes. You don't care about human rights.
They steal the moral language of rights. And you're right, they obscure it with the term human rights so that they can corrupt the original liberal Enlightenment notion of what rights are. This is not what rights are the way great liberal thinkers from John Locke and the American Thomas Jefferson and so forth. When we mean rights, we mean individual rights. We mean liberty. Okay, these were the men who provided the philosophical framework that got rid of slavery and gave the world the concept of things like free speech, the importance of private property. Okay, that notion of rights is completely twisted, turned on its head, just as they steal the vocabulary of everything else, like genocide or something. No, for what she means by right is the right of people to use force, to use violence, when their emotions are not satisfied. And so to her, there is really nothing wrong with initiating aggressive violence, either here or on October 7th. And I think the mask has really slipped on Ms. Albanese on this. She really is an advocate of Hamas's activities. She really is in favor of the atrocities on October 7th. She's in favor of hostage taking, and she's willing to go to bat and defend it every time. And if anyone complains, if anyone has a different opinion, then they should expect thuggish response of violence. That's what she calls rights. So what she calls rights, I call tyranny and thuggery and violence, terrorism. And so, as I say, she's the perfect representative of the UN Human Rights Council. That's the opposite. From my perspective, it's the Rights Violator Protection Committee. People who use violence and advocate the use of terrorism and atrocity, and who defend dictators. That's what she is. And that turns the concept of rights on its head.
Yeah, I mean, you know what they say. Everybody cares about human rights. Nobody cares about human rights, human wrongs. At least at this council, I don't think anybody says that. I came up with it. But let's take a look at a pushback, since several mayors have been sort of uncomfortable with what she's doing. Specifically,
being honored by Naples, and she was being honored.
Well, let me just quickly read that, because several cities wanted to award honorary citizenship of the city to her, and different symbolic rewards. There is one that we've covered also some time ago that, if we have time, I'll bring up again. Cities like Naples, Reggio Emilia, Bari, Bologna have all sort of planned for something, and now they are sort of reconsidering it. And I'm just wondering, like, really, that this is over the Hamas propaganda she was doing, the supporting genocide of Palestinian culture, everything she stands for was okay until now, and this goes too far. The fact that a bunch of thugs are, violating offices, which is still bad. Like, here is one of the comments that I was even surprised to see, where let me see, what did I have it? So this was from Marco Massari, the mayor of Reggio Emilia, who now says, "We granted her the honor because she is a UN special rapporteur, not because of the positions she expressed." What is this standard? Like, we gave this award to the Chancellor of Germany, not like what Hitler actually stood for. Like, what kind of idea of this is the fact that you have somebody terrible in a position and you give them an award just because they are not to mention being a UN special rapporteur. I don't think is a position to earn a reward, as opposed to maybe president of the United States or something like that.
What has she done for human rights? Now, we have documented on this channel her support for jihadism. We've documented her anti-Semitism. We've documented it well. So we don't give an award to such an entity, such a vile creature as her. There's no excuse. The mayor's excuse here just does not hold water, as you say. That's absurd. You'd give it to anyone who held that position then, sir? Really? Really, Senora? You could give it to anybody who held that position? No matter what they believed, no matter how vile their anti-Semitism, no matter how outright their defense of terrorism and jihadism, like this lady? No, we have well documented over the last many months how this woman is an anti-Semite and a supporter of jihadism, outright. She goes to bat for them routinely. And here, the mask is simply slipping harder. I hope we get to the other quotes, such as about hostage taking that she is making of late.
Maybe unless I have something. So he also said that the mayor of Reggio Emilia, he said that this title cannot be revoked, which seems ridiculous.
Ridiculous. You mean when you find out someone has committed a mass murder, you can't go back and say, "Oh, we didn't know that. I'm sorry. We got to pull that."
I mean, that could be legally the case that maybe the
change the law.
Yeah.
Then change.
I would say.
Is your city proud of honoring this lady? Really? Wow.
In Bologna, they've said violence against journalists cannot be justified under any circumstance. But she is justifying it. And so, yeah, we can bring up the scenario. Again, we've covered this a few months ago, where
You
again,
see, Al Jazeera has operatives in Gaza that are working with Hamas. They're journalists being attacked, and that's an attack on free speech by Israel, don't you know? Even though they put themselves in a war zone and they're actually on the side of Hamas. No, no, no. That's free. That's journalists being slaughtered, I guess, by Israel. No, when that kind of real, anti-press thuggery goes on, she is utterly indifferent to it, which shows the complete hypocrisy of the council she works for and her own authoritarian and frankly bigoted racist tendencies.
Yeah, and what was happening is, again, Albanese was getting this reward from this mayor. The mayor in the video was looking uncomfortable because Albanese was talking about genocide in Gaza. But when the mayor mentioned that also there is a need to free Israeli hostages held by Hamas, the crowd started booing. This was encouraged by Albanese, and afterwards, Albanese has rolled her eyes when she was doing this, and she said, "The mayor is wrong. Peace does not need conditions. Promise me you will never say anything like that again." And again, this is after
Unbelievable. She's an advocate of the hostage taking and all of
she
the.
still got the prize, by the way. The
I'm
award.
sorry?
She still got the award.
And she still got the award. She is absolutely an advocate of hostage taking. She's not only justifying attacks on the media in Italy, she's actually advocating the Hamas taking of hostages. Peace does have conditions. You have to stop being violent against our people. No, what she's saying is they can be violent, Israel can't respond. So if her peace has no such condition as don't release the hostages or don't take hostages, hostage taking was really a rotten thing to do. Nothing like that. She's not in favor of peace any more than she's in favor of human rights. She doesn't know a right and she doesn't know peace. She's an advocate of violence. She's an advocate of the violence of taking hostages. Violence on one side is okay for her. She is not, peace does not, it's like Orwellian newspeak. Peace is war, freedom is slavery. Yeah, that's what she is a master of Orwellian newspeak. She is a communist, fascist, I don't know what you call them, a total authoritarian defender of thuggish dictatorship and terrorist activity. She is an outright defender of terrorism. She gives it moral sanction and cover. She's in favor of the hostage taking. No doubt she's in favor of the use of systematic rape and the mutilation of people and the slaughter of babies. That's what happened, Miss Albanese. That's what you're defending. And when you say peace has no condition, that is to say, stop holding our people hostage, which is an act of violence currently going on, she's saying no, Israel has to stop. They can continue their violence. And that's what she calls peace. No, she is an evil human being. She is a truly down to the bones evil human being. Any authority that this woman has can only harm civilization. And the reaction of these Italian cities. Now, I did want to comment that several Italian cities, yes, Bologna, Napoli, they're all, rah, her. Now, Italy, you have a history of fascism and anti-Semitism. The word ghetto comes from the way you segregated and walled off Jews in the city of Venice. You gave us the word ghetto, Italy. You have a history of fascism and anti-Semitism and aligning yourself with Adolf Hitler. You have come no distance. If this is an expression, if these mayors and their honoring of this wicked woman are any indication, Italy has not progressed one bit from the days of Mussolini.
Bonnie says the mayor didn't know, and also we have a super chat from Bonnie. Thank you so much. And she says the mayor didn't know Albanese protested alongside Greta last week in Genoa. Why did he give her a prize? Well, I'm not sure if I have comments specifically. Well, depends which mayor, of course, but the ones, at least I have comments from, Reggio Emilia. He said, it's just a word we give to opposition. We don't care about what anybody says. I mean, that's the kind of,
they'd give the award
secondhand
to Mussolini.
thinking.
Yeah, they'd give the award to Mussolini. After all, he built great trains in your area, didn't he? Geez, that's the kind of thing that, talk about, I mean, total moral blindness. No, in fact, moral inversion. She is actually defending violence and thuggery and anti-Semitism on multiple levels. The Human Rights Council of the United Nations represents nothing to do with rights or freedom or justice or peace. She is in favor of violence, terrorism, authoritarianism, ripping the tongues out of people who disagree with her by force. She is a thug. Her spirit is no different than that of Benito Mussolini's.
Somebody has a problem with us attacking Italy again. Well,
I love Italy. Don't get me wrong.
Well, it depends. I would even like stand behind it. Like Italy is a problematic country that has had deep issues for a long time. Even if this is not like a complete condemnation. Like I'm not comparing it to Russia or comparing it to Palestinian culture, but it has if you compare it to the rest of the Western countries, it has problems. And I think something like anti-Semitism is oftentimes at the root or it's a corollary of many of the bad cultures going on. Or this example of attack of the free press.
The world owes so much to Italy. I mean, I'm not going. If you were going to go with collective credit here, okay, the ancient Roman Republican Empire was a transmission belt of culture that laid the foundations for Western civilization in many ways, mostly because they were a transmission belt for Greek and Hellenistic ideas, but also their own brilliant engineering and politics and so forth. They laid the foundations in part for Western civilization. I love Renaissance art. I love Italian food. I love Italian wine. It is a beautiful, beautiful country. The people are messed up in their heads, and I do not see a major progress from the time of Benito Mussolini. I'm sorry. I would say the same about many people in my own country.
You say no major progress, but recently I've seen a statistic. Apparently, real wages in Italy for the last 20 years went down by like 4%.
Well, this is the result.
Real wages in the last 20 years.
Real wages in recent decades. Wow. Psh. Great job, Italy. But that's the result of their collectivist economics, no doubt. I mean, this is what happens. I mean, when you don't go by capitalism. I mean, they're an anti-capitalist country. Of course, I grant you, they're not. So old Soviet Union, no, they're not, Maoist China, no, they're not Hitler's Germany, but they're a mixed economy. But their economy is so tilted on the side of state intervention, statism, authoritarianism, anti-capitalism, that doesn't surprise me. That's the natural result of the use of force. And this lady is, a consistent advocate of force, using violence as a solution. She's all in favor of it. It shuts down the mind. It shuts down economies, the use of force. I would urge people, if they have any questions about what I'm saying, to check out, the real history of rights, the Enlightenment, European liberalism, and the works of Ayn Rand, which are in the 20th century were the great defense of civilization itself, liberty and reason, because that is what these thugs oppose. They are a betrayal of anything good in their own culture. As I say, I love the place. I have Italian friends. But man, and I could say the same to a large extent about my own country. We are progressively heading in the United States of America down a dark fascist path. It just seems to me that Italy is a few steps ahead of us.
Just quickly, somebody says that is all of Europe. No, it's Greece and Italy are the ones who have negative real wage growth. I think even Western countries have it all in last 20 years have it all above 50%, which is still low. Don't take me wrong. But at least there is some
to boast about anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, we will continue conversation on the reality show where we'll talk about there's been this video of a few Jewish children talking about the experience of anti-Semitism in America and sort of the reaction. They were talking to adults, and some of the adults had reactions such as, you don't know how it's being blacked, and that it's being more oppressed than being Jewish. So great reactions like that. So make sure to join us on the reality show in just a few minutes. James, any last quick thoughts and where can people find you?
Well, you can find me here. And we've started a really exciting thing for members. You have to be a subscriber to the Ayn Rand Center UK, but we're studying, I was mentioned the philosophy of Ayn Rand. Well, the definitive study of Ayn Rand, just treatise on Ayn Rand's philosophy, the best presentation of it as an integrated whole, is the work Objectivism, the Philosophy of Ayn Rand by Dr. Leonard Peikoff. And we've just started, yeah, there it is. We've just started covering it, and we're off to a great discussion. We really are. So please join us there. Become a paid subscriber so you can participate. You actually participate in a philosophical conversation about the issues that we talk about here. International affairs is just a reflection of culture and philosophy. And to really understand these issues, you have to drill deep into the philosophical concepts involved. And that's what we're doing. Please join us. So, or I'm active on Facebook, James Stevens Valiant, answering questions almost every day. You can hit me up over there.
And somebody earlier said that the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, have you ever asked yourself what is the root of all money? And with that thought, I'll leave you and join us on the reality show in just a few minutes. Thank you, James, and bye-bye.
Be safe.